Bernice Abbott was born in 1898 in Springfield, Ohio. She later went along to Ohio State for 2 semesters and then moving to New York to study sculpture and painting. She took a trip to Paris and Berlin to further her studies, but then got introduced to photography by Eugene Agathe. In the trip back to New York, she found the potential in photography in the buildings that make up the city. She then got a project from the Museum of the City of New York called Changing New York in 1929. Changing New York was inspired by the transformation in the new construction that had gone on while she was away in Europe. I was drawn to these photos since I had taken a similar photo to one of these in the project. The first photo is of Penn Station in Manhattan, taken in 1936, which is just a beautiful building with all of its beams across the roof letting in so much natural light into the building. The photo is an important part of history since it is now where Madison Square Garden was built, so the only way you can see this train station is through this photo. The arches of the beams are covering up 1/3 of the photo to use the rule of thirds. This is a photo of West Street, New York, taken in 1936, when I immediately noticed the hard light with the shadows on the tall building in the center. My eyes also get drawn to the shortest object in the picture all the way to the furthest tallest objects. Columbus Circle was taken by Bernice in 1936, and what really draws me to this image are the signs, taken from a high perspective down on the circle. Based off the lighting, it looks like the building that the photo is taken from has a similar sign from Coca-Cola, but the sunlight is blocking this sign. That is why the sign is so dark, and based off of the shadows going down to the left in the street, the sun is behind the photographer. It is a great piece of history also to see how the signs looked back in the day. The Flatiron Building picture was taken in 1938 and is a perfect example of a 2-point perspective photograph. The main building in front and center is built to go with the 2 streets in different directions. The sunlight seems to almost be directly above in this shot, so the time is likely close to noon. I am also drawn to the different cars of the time and the trolley cars going down the middle of the road. Very different than today and here in Newark, where we don't have trolley cars at all. This picture is called Broadway to the Battery, taken in 1938, which was taken from a high point of view again, but this time from a tall skyscraper. You can tell this because the photo is looking down on the skyscrapers on Broadway. This photo does a great job of 1-point perspective as the street and the buildings lead to Battery Park, and off into the water you can see where the cruise ship is also following this path. This picture was taken in 1936 called Pike and Henry Street, as that is the intersection where it was taken. The street leads your eyes right to the bridge off at an angle to show off the details and the glory of the bridge. Looking at the shadows from the sunlight, it looks like that the sun is off to the right as the right building casts a shadow on the street. I find interesting the horses on the street as well as the cars in the different time period. This is an interesting picture of a bar called Billy's Bar taken in 1936. That is a great piece of history. One of the only indoor photos in this group of photos, which you can see the globe lights over the bar. This photo is taken so the bar is at an angle to show a little bit of the depth in the photo. The woodwork is something that it's just hard to find these days. Also, the attire of the bartender shows a different fashion of the time period, right after Prohibition, where this place probably would have been illegal.